Hey guys, so let me just figure this out. There's chat, there's comments here. So unfortunately, I was on Zoom, guys, and it didn't record. So we're starting again, and I'm gonna go through everything, and we're gonna go ahead and build out. I'll go through everything that it takes to get that I did to get to 10 grand months at Etsy, right? So first things first. First, I'm Ashley. I am a business coach, mentor, and Etsy shop owner. I also sell on Shopify and Amazon. So I help women, spiritual women, achieve their business goals in terms of growth, using energetic strategy, and manifestation. So here is a store I built, right? And we've listed a product. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take you through the steps that it takes to set up our new shop. So let's just go ahead and have a swing at it. So first things first, or first steps first, is I built my new shop around an aesthetic. So what aesthetic means is, you see here, a coquette aesthetic. So you're wondering, what the heck is coquette? What does aesthetic mean? So if we go into, let me see, TikTok.com, and we search for fashion aesthetics, right? You could see there's a whole bunch of sub-communities you can find on TikTok and Instagram, right? And these are all relevant SEO keywords. So you must be wondering, what's SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is what attracts organic traffic to your listing. So it means you're using certain keywords in your listings. So you see here, that are attracting customers to them. So we put the aesthetic coquette, right? I also use a keyword called princess core. And I got these keywords from TikTok, right? Because you see we have a whole list here as well, right? And there's much more. So there's subversive, clean girl, soft girl, old money, coquette's what I went with, preppy, cottagecore, right? These are all trending communities on social media, right? So these are communities that we're expanding on, finding hashtags and keywords, and that's what's getting us organic traffic to our listings. So for example, I went with coquette because I wanted to create a girly brand. So what I mean by that is, if we go into Instagram, right? These are all keywords, right? So if we go into Instagram, and I search for coquette, right? You see, it's a really big community, right? Our hashtag coquette, 600,000 posts. So that's really good, right? We want at least 50 to 100,000 posts in the aesthetic that you're choosing, right? So you see here, it's very pink, girly, vintage vibes, right? So I wanted to make a brand around this aesthetic because there's so many people that belong to this aesthetic or posting this aesthetic or posting their outfits in this aesthetic, right? So you see, we're going to go ahead and build a mini community. So social media, branding in general, is gravitating towards community building, right? So we want our store to belong to this community. We want to create a coquette community, right, of our own. So we're attracting buyers to our store through it, right? So create a coquette store on Etsy, right? So here's what I did. Okay, so first I decided on my aesthetic, right, which was coquette, based on my search on TikTok, right? So we have it here. Alright, so what I did next is, you click into any, whatever, I guess the top performing ones would be best, right? The following aesthetic, and you just look into the keywords that they've used, right? Sometimes they don't have keywords, right? So coquette, messy French girl, dollette, girl blog, right? These are all keywords that I found here, right? Dollette, girly aesthetic, So find popular hashtags each post, and those are like keywords and tags you're going to use on Etsy, right? So that's a part of my strategy there. So we found an aesthetic, and then we found the keywords. So first up, go to TikTok, find an aesthetic. If you're like more tomboy, you might like the punk ones. You might like witchcore, right? If you're selling candles, maybe you fall into the witchcore aesthetic, right? So instead of putting like, oh, spiritual candles, for SEO, you can put like witchcore candle, right? And you can see how that attracts a totally different customer base to you, right? So that's the first thing that we're going to do. So you can see Coquette's very pink, very female, right? We want all of our visuals to reflect what this community is demonstrating through their visuals, right? So all of our inventory should somehow relate to this, right? So if you already have your own inventory, that's totally fine. I'm sure you can use keywords from aesthetic communities in your listings. If you're selling candles, like I mentioned, you can put witchcore, right? Maybe you want to sell journals instead, right? There's a aesthetic community called Pinterest Girl. So you can create a Pinterest Girl community and sell digital journals, right? Those are all ideas for you. But the idea is get to know through the hashtag on Instagram or TikTok, get to know what the community looks like, what their visuals are like, what the hashtags are, right? And then so you're familiar with yourself because you're going to make a community that looks like this, right? That looks like one of their profiles, like my Pretty Futu Lita, right? Now, when I make an Instagram brand, it's going to look something like this because it's a real, authentic Coquette community, and I want to attract these people to my listings, right? So see, you get their hashtags and put into a doc, right? As long as we have the main ones, right? And that's what we would do. Okay, so that's step one. So two, we open the store. So I already went ahead and opened it. So basically what I did is, next step is I focus on branding that follows the aesthetic, right? So we want to have a Coquette themed banner and Coquette themed logo, right? And then we'll have a Coquette themed inventory. More keywords for Coquette, like I mentioned, would be princess core, right? Would be girly aesthetic, dollette. Those are all keywords that kind of represent it. So if I go into Canva, right, I made it in Canva. So you see here, I just got a pink banner that matches Coquette feeds, right? If you go into Instagram feeds, it should like match what the aesthetic is about, because the aesthetic is basically a look and a vibe, right? So I did this, right? So you put cute things, whatever matches your aesthetic. I made it look really girly, right? So I just did that in Canva. Okay? And then I made my logo in Canva too by simply adding a crown and wings. So easy way to look at logos and branding is like, get the keyword, like Coquette, and what words do you describe with Coquette or visuals? I think pink, flowers, angel wings, right? So all things you can put in the logo or wherever in your visuals. So I put like a crown with like fairy wings, right? As my logo here. My branding, because branding is super important, guys, because it builds the credibility of our brand and it makes us look like we're the leaders of the community, right? Because, like, again, as I mentioned, we're leading communities, right? And we're attracting through the community. So we have our banner, our logo, and then I have here, so Etsy is very like artisan led, so it's preferred that you use your own profile photo, right? So use your profile photo and your own name or whatever you can, and so people know it's backed by a real person, right? The next key, right? So, so I went over photos and banners. And the next key, add SEO to the shop headline, right? So, you see here, I have Coquette aesthetic clothing store. So depending on your aesthetic, you would put like which core aesthetic. Candle store. If you're selling jewelry, it could be like Pinterest girl jewelry store, right? Make sure you have your main keyword, aesthetic keyword, on your front page, so it can be indexed by both Etsy and Google, right? Right. So now down here, you can put a heading, right? And then next thing, to make sure you put would be some kind of visual or like video demo, which I'll go over in a second. And then if you want, you can put a mission statement. I would definitely add a visual here. It's just that because of time, it takes time to build a video trailer. So I'll probably give you guys a link on how to build them, but they're super simple. Right, you don't need to include real models or real photos. I just go into royalty-free video website. For example, go to pexels.com. And let's just search for girly, right? Go to videos. And then we search for girly videos because that relates to like what the cat aesthetic is, right? For example, I would like download like a clip like this with like music, and then put like my store name at the end, and just combine that with a few other clips, right? And I take like, you can build them in under 30 minutes, just pop them in Canva. You can hire someone else to do it, or just put like a photo with your brand statement, right? So that's what you put here, and then just make sure you have your Instagram mentioned, your IG handle, and your profile photos. This is because, like, although my traffic comes organically, your social media can be considered like your like cover letter or resume, right? It just adds credibility to your brand. Like, who are you, right? Like, we don't know who someone is until like we look at like their Instagram, right, or whatever. Like, that's how we check up on people or double check people. So that's why I have IG handle listed there in the heading, right? And it's super important that we have at least an IG or Facebook community, right? So again, build out your Instagram and Facebook accounts, make sure they're linked here. Put a more visual here, and then make sure you have keywords here in the headline, and you have your branding. Leading with branding is super important, guys, because it's not only visual, but we attract through our energy, right? Because our brand needs to be memorable and needs to be relevant to the aesthetic community, right? And then we're like attracting through the energy of our brand, right? So as we do this, we can say, how do I want my brand to feel? How do I want my customers to feel? What's the vision for my brand? And I know people get like to get complicated with this, with like vision boards and like research and all of that, and I like to be very simple. Like, sometimes it's as simple as opening up a simple dialogue with ourselves, like just sitting there and just acknowledging what you want your brand to look like. And it's exciting because we get to go over like how much money you see yourself having, right? So for me, it's like, I want my Baby Angel brand, I want the customers to feel like they belong, right? That they belong, they're in a community. I want them to feel excited about my inventory. I want them to just like love my brand. I want my brand to feel like just very like authentic and just be a bomb brand, right? But those are all things, like, that's the energy we get to be excited around. Because if we don't map it first out in our head first, what are we building or aiming towards, right? So I feel like some people like start building, but they're not even, they haven't just like taken the time to acknowledge that conversation with themselves, right? Because we're like the narrator or artists of our lives, no matter what we're manifesting. Like any author, any coach would tell you, you honestly just need to just like just have a conversation with yourself, right? And just plan out in your head, like visualize in your head what you want it to be, right? It doesn't have to be a complicated exercise. It's really so simple, but just like practicing mindfulness. Because I honestly believe if I didn't do the energetics of my brand, it wouldn't be where it is today. I would be opening a mindless door that wasn't really clear, right? You have to get kind of clear on what your manifestation is. So that's some energetic work, but like outside of that, the aesthetics and the branding are very, very super important, because otherwise your store will look like a factory store, right? Because I'm going to have all these pro-on-demand options here, right? And you see it's easy for it to look like, oh, this is from, you know what I'm saying? It could be like from another website, or I've seen listings kind of like this, even if the design is original. So to supplement that, we have our branding, right? And then what we're going to do, we also have, go home here, make sure you have, depending on your product, custom size charts, right? So you're going to get, I usually hire someone to do this. I say, hey, can you like, and I would change the branding to like pink, obviously, for this. This is for my other brand. Change your brand to, I'll change the brand to pink, right? And then just put the measurements or whatever, put the Instagram, and upload it here. If you can't do something like this, it's as simple as like design like a business card almost, right? Just put your brand name, your Instagram handle, like, hey, if you have any questions, send us a DM, right? Because this adds authenticity to your brand, right? And it makes it look like more credible, right? So branding is super key as we get started, right? So if you're not an artistic person, that's okay. I outsource from like Fiverr.com or Upwork.com, right? So that's what I did for branding, guys. So I start off with branding for that reason, because branding sets the context and vision for my brand, right? And I never did a complicated like research or like charts or anything. I'm not knocking those things at all. But I just found those things, the more I did them, I was like, oh, like, there's no way, that can't be for me, right? So it's better if you just get excited and just being in your being, I guess, and just think it over, right? Like, I was just literally just sat down and just was just like, okay, this is what's gonna be, and I thought about it and thought it through. It sounds like very easy and maybe obvious, but people forget just setting those intentions, right, at the beginning of what you do. And we want our brand to look real, and we want it to be vibing, right, and have good visuals, so it looks like a real community. So people who are part of the Coquette lifestyle are into a community, like, oh yeah, bomb, like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? It's totally, like, I totally see it, right? So if you feel comfortable with that, just hire someone from Fiverr.com, Upwork.com, and they can do the visuals for you, right? Just send them over what your aesthetic is, right? What you want for it, right? So we did our branding, right? And we found our aesthetic, right? Next is we set up inventory. So one thing to be mindful with my inventory is I always have free shipping available. I always have 10% off, right? So if we go into Shop Manager, go to Marketing, Sales and Discounts, we can create it here, right? Click Run a Sale, and I just lock 10% off, right? And I put the duration. I let it do for a month. I keep letting it roll. It'll continue. Like 10 off. I have that one taken already, right? And then you just add the listing and then click review and confirm, and that's it, right? Let's always have 10% off sale, always running, right? And then the next thing would be to make sure in settings and delivery settings, you have free shipping set up, right? So you include shipping price in your base price, right, to cover all of that, right? So I'll get into pricing in a second. So we make sure sale is always on and free shipping, right? So discounts we have. We went over custom size charts, right? So that's a big key. Next would be actually building out the inventory. So for Etsy, for this, we're building out a print-on-demand store, right? So print-on-demand means it's drop ship. So what it means is it's no upfront investment. We pay the supplier for a blank sweater, blank t-shirt, etc. And then we put our custom design on it and we sell it. I'm going to go over my process for inventory. So basically, I go on Printify, right? So you see, the type of products we want to focus on for our dropship brand would be shirts and sweaters, which are my best sellers, right? Like I have like mushroom t-shirts and sweaters that sell really well. And then next would be custom plush teddies, blankets, ornaments, and mugs, right? And where I get the designs for this would be on Canva, because if you go into Canva Elements, these are fine for like commercial use and like t-shirts, right? So for example, I can search like goddess or something. And like I could put her if I wanted on like a t-shirt, right? Right? But the main sites I like to use would be rawpixel.com. And public domain pictures. Okay, I like these sites because it has vintage inspired designs. The prints that sold on my brand have been like vintage inspired. So for example, if I search for mushroom here, because my other store involves a cottagecore aesthetic, right? And so mushrooms are like part of the visual. So like I have like a t-shirt like this, almost has like a vintage diagram, and it sold really well. So I would focus on vintage looking prints, vintage diagrams, because that's what sold well personally for me, but they're under your aesthetic. So which cord by search like broom or like witch hat, right? Find a vintage one. For cocktail, I can't really put cocktail because it's very like specific. Like, so I search for anything that's girly, right? So if I go into like Instagram, right, and then if I go into coquette aesthetic, right, you get a feel. Like I see a lot of bows, seashells, perfume, definitely a lot of pink, right? So it'll be like a very pink brand, right? So let's search for like angel, right? Or like, right? And like these vintage ones are so cute, right? People like this kind of vintage look. Sorry, I was just checking if it's recording. So let's go ahead. Right, or you can get like roses, right? This would be a cute vintage design, right? And I could put it on any coquette pink shirt, and it'll follow the aesthetic, right? So you don't have to necessarily put like text, right? I would actually avoid it maybe and just do visual. So do this in bulk because it's hard to upload it because it's inventory. It's very time consuming to upload inventory. So I go to Upwork or Fiverr.com. What I do is I give them my keywords. I give them a feel for what I want, right? You can send them these links or whatever. And just be like, hey, can you design like X amount for me, right? And that's a quick way to accomplish what you want done, right? So that's that, right? So now that's like our design, right? So we have teddies here. So focus on these products, right? These are our sources. The long-term goal is to aim for 3,000 plus inventory. You don't need to do that because I have like less than 1,000 in my first brand and I made 10 grand. This is just like for like growing, right? Because Etsy allows multiple stores. So I have one store, I upload a second store. I want to eventually branch out to 4 stores, right? Or 3 stores. So this is just like, think of this as what we're aiming for, right? Long term. Start off, just to start off your store opening, I would aim for 50 to 100 products. And you should be good with that, right? So the next thing is SEO, right? And that's a big, big detail because that's where I get all my organic traffic from, right? So we covered like finding our keywords, right? So that's like our main task. And as you've seen, guys, that wasn't hard for us to do. We simply went into TikTok. We searched for fashion aesthetics or aesthetics because you don't necessarily have to be in fashion, right? And then I looked at the keywords. I searched on Instagram and TikTok, and then I came up with a lot of cool keywords, right? So we don't need pearls here. But so you see, like, we just find those trending, like, those popular hashtags for keywords, right? So I just give them my aesthetic and say, hey, can you make the designs, right? So the next thing is SEO, right? So we have our keywords already, right? So it's very simple. Like, basically what I did, you design it in Printify, right? So to give you ideas, go to my products, maybe later. Okay, so let's go into like catalog, right? So Printify is very easy to set up. You just log in and you just click, you connect your store in one button. So catalog, go to like t-shirts if you want. Right, I want like pink for my brand. If you're in cottagecore, it would be green. It depends what your vibe is. Right, so try to find one with the price that agrees with you. Some shipping is higher than others, right? And I'll prefer to get a manufacturer that ships from the United States. So let's go with this one, right? And then I'll go add device for my design. So we want here, right? So we can, let's say we can even like download this. All right, download this. Okay, go ahead and upload that. So we would use the higher resolution, but just for time's sake, let's do that. Or yeah, if you scale it smaller, it's okay. Just watch the notification here and make sure it's like good quality. So go like that, right? And then I want it in like light pink. So it follows that like girly aesthetic, right? That coquette represents, right? Like I mentioned, like it has to, your inventory should like match like with this. Like see how this girl has like, I'll probably go ahead now, I'll go make a tank top in the drop shipping and just printify it and find something like this, right? Like a cute donut design. And you can make a bunch of sales, right? So like pay attention, right? So we can get like a t-shirt, and like I mentioned, we can put like those like baby angels, right? That look like this. Search for like those, like search for cherub or whatever. Like something like this, for example. It doesn't have to be exact, right? But you see how like what I'm getting at, right? Allow the visuals to match with your aesthetic, right? So looking through the searching coquette aesthetic on Instagram or whatever aesthetic will like be good, right? So you can see what type of designs are like trending or it's part of the aesthetic, right? And we can upload them. Okay, save product. Okay. So honestly, guys, with SEO, you don't need 30 keywords in the title, right? My best sellers that had like 100 sales were like, it was like such a simple title. It's like mushroom, cottagecore, sweater, forest green. Like it's like so simple, and it makes, you know what I'm saying? It has a bunch of favorites, a bunch of sales, like a lot of reviews. People love it, right? Because it was written by a real person, and it wasn't focused on like keywords and sales. It was focused on community, right? So if you know your hashtag, this is so easy. So let's go ahead. So I'm gonna put like, so here's what I do. I put 1 to 2 keywords in the title. So coquette, and describe the product. Is it pink, right? Coquette pink, floral roses, right? Because like roses and florals, like that's a keyword people might use, but it's descriptive. But it's the most like, but like I wouldn't be too descriptive where it's irrelevant. Like people like, just simplify, right? Like don't try to add like I mentioned 20 keywords. Like I don't have to mention like it's a bird. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to put the species of the bird. It's just like, just put it's like a vintage design, vintage floral design T-shirt, right? So a vintage floral design coquette pink T-shirt. It's that simple. People like it that simple. So, right? I caught it, and I'll put anywhere. Put princess core tee, right? Because that's another keyword in my community, right? In my first doc, I have all these keywords, right? And you click into them and see which ones has like the most posts, right? Princess core is an actual aesthetic, right? It's not just a keyword. So, right. So there we go. I would have someone rewrite this, right, and make it look. I would tell the person at work, please make it like personal, friendly, right? And then they should be good to go. Because listings are very time consuming, guys. And if you're updating it every week, you probably won't want to do this every week. I have someone else do it, but to get started, feel free. If you have a little leverage starting out, feel free to do it yourself. And like I mentioned, Printify is no upfront investment. You only pay once it sells, right? You pay the supplier based on what you sold, right? So, and then, so there you go. So, okay, pricing. So there's a whole energetic strategy behind pricing. So, like, okay, so you have to consider, guys, like I love Etsy because Etsy has like so many views. I grew so fast in Etsy. Etsy made for community building. But like Etsy takes a lot of fees, guys, right? And we're doing free shipping. We have 10% off, and the people ask for refunds and like, returns sometimes, depends on what your policies are. So consider all those when pricing your items. I would simply ask myself, okay, what makes me excited to receive, right? Because I've marked up items to like $70 sweaters, and like that's like my popular items. People love to pay me that price, right? People are drawn to the energy of your brand and the energetics of who you are, right? And in our branding portion, we went over this and we were laying out our intentions. We're like, hey, I want my customers to feel excited, right, on my brand. They love to buy from my brand, right? So you see all those things, like, people want to pay that price. Etsy is like a bit of an expensive marketplace anyway. And I just consider people are energetically matched to my inventory, to my branding, because they love my brand, right? There's so many factors that go into it. So, like, really decide for a place that makes you feel good. When I first started out, I definitely did lowball, right? Like, I made sure that it felt fair for me, right? So make sure you do that, guys, right? But long term, general rule of thumb would be to mark up your items 3 times the base price, right? So, for example, if the base price plus shipping is $10, let's just say, we multiply that by 3, right? So I'd be selling this for $30 on Etsy, not 10, right? That's because from that price, it covers just like all those Etsy fees, right? All those things you run into, so you're still making a healthy profit. Feel free to do it lower. Maybe you just want to do 2 times starting out, right? So feel free, whatever makes you feel good and excited, right? So edit the prices here, right? And then free shipping, right? If you want to find out how I did free shipping, just go into settings. Yeah, we're here at delivery settings. Hit create profile, and then you just go calculate the form enter postage prices, and then it will allow you to select free delivery, right? So let's see. So have that, right? And you see free delivery is listed here, right? So that's what we have, and then I just hit publish, and it'll publish to my store, right, guys? You see. So I'll probably do like them like this. Right. Oh wait, I see it marked up a little. Do 15 times 3. I'll update it later, but just make sure you just see the prices here, and just make sure there's like shipping included in the price. Right? And then make sure you mark it up times 3. Or whatever you want, guys. Okay? So we have that one. And that's going to upload to my little baby angel store. Right, guys? So there's that. So now we covered inventory and pricing. And there you go, guys. So to reiterate and just kind of review everything, first we want TikTok. Okay, guys, and find your aesthetic, right? So search on the TikTok. There you go. Right? And that'll give you the trending ones, right? And I chose Cockcat because I wanted a girly brand. So if you already have your inventory set, it's still useful, right? Because you're going to find very good keywords that kind of relate to your products already in your brand. If you don't have a product, it's really good too, because you could like create a whole new brand just around one aesthetic. And then have all that traffic come in, right? That's cool stuff. So that's what you have, right? And then we opened our store, and then that was just me like just setting up banking, just setting up. But like what's important is we follow the structure. We have, make sure you have your logo, your banner, and then your custom size chart or business card to add on each listing, right? And then you just add at the bottom, so people, it's more like authentic, right? And then from there, we always have free shipping running, still always going on, 10% off at least, right? And that's the custom size chart. If you can't, because for me, anything in my brand, because I'm a very feminine energy led business guy, it's like whatever, like I like to create, but like I'm obviously like not looking forward to like, I don't want to sit down and write SEO for 100 listings, right? What matters the most is I did my aesthetic research that we just did in this call, right? Like we found our keyword, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and go to Upwork, or you can go into any of your Facebook groups. I hire a VA, or like anyone at Upwork, right? Because they're more like budget friendly, right? So you can invest whatever you want in somebody. Like I didn't pay anyone over like $100, $200 when I first started out, right? Just to set up my listings at first. So it's really what you want. So basically, so I hire someone at Upwork, like, hey, can you please like build 50 listings for me, right? 50 or 100 listings for me. Can you please make sure that these are the main keywords, right? Coquette, princess core, doll core, dollette, laser girl. Can you please include those keywords in the listing, right? And they take that and they make it for you. Same thing with the designs, guys. If you can't sit down and design 1,000 products, then go ahead and find someone on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. Show them like these websites, right, or whatever. Maybe they might have good sources like, hey, can you like create like vintage looking designs that like belong to my keyword, right? You even send them like, go to copy this link that has coquette aesthetic, right? And then send this to the designer, like, hey, like, can you design me t-shirts or like blankets or whatever that like that would belong to this community or hashtag that's like girly, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do because, like, I mean, like, I've created the vision, like, I'm the artist, right? I'm the narrator. It's like, I've created the vision. I know what needs to be done. I just don't have time for that, right? So I outsource. That's not in things I'm not feeling, right? But I'm definitely in control, right? Like, I know, like, this is still a strategy that I'm following. So, yeah. So, there you go, guys. And that's like core strategies. After that, and then after you have like your bio set up here, can be so simple, your Instagram socials. It's really about leaning back and allowing the sales to come, right, guys? Because my first few sales, my first few months of selling, like, yeah, like I probably had maybe like 10 sales or something, right? But to me, like that was like a lot because I never had like sales like that, right? So I would allow sales, even no matter how small, excite you because they compound over time. And we compound them by being like, okay, this month I got 10. So it's like having a Pinterest vision board. Okay, 3 months from now, I'll have like, I'm gonna make like $5,000. Like, what if that's possible? And how would that make me feel? I feel so excited. And I just like keep following that energy. And that's what keeps my energy like in the right place. So I don't give up. Because manifestation is all about like where you don't see it, right? Like as you grow, you won't see it right away because our manifestation is where we can't see it, right? We don't see the results yet, right? But it doesn't mean they're still not there. It doesn't mean they're still not going to be like summoned, right? But we take that as a discouragement at first. So we switch that like discouraged auto-responsive energy. And instead we kind of like calm down our nervous system and we're like, okay, like, instead of thinking, okay, like, what if this fails? Because I'm not seeing results, like, but what if it works? And we get excited about that instead, right? And I counter, like, my negative vibrations that way. I'm not trying to say that manifesting is all about feeling good all the time. It's just, manifesting, I could go on, and there's going to be a whole other module on manifesting, but it's like, you still, trust me, guys, I've manifested money when I was like depressed, going through things, right? It really doesn't matter. It's not about not being depressed, but it's like, it's just making sure that you're not giving up, right? Because you know what I'm saying, we have to align to the result because people stop too soon because they wonder if the strategy's off or something's off or not doing it properly. It's fine. Honestly, guys, the how gets removed as soon as you lay that intention down, right? You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen, right? Just focus on the desire and the result and let yourself and feel that in your body, right? Because sometimes we don't allow ourselves to just create like an artist or a narrator, like planning, like narrating our life almost, narrating our result, right? So let's not be excited, right? Like, yeah, I'm going to make $5,000, $10,000, and you have to feel excited, right? And you keep up with your coaching, you keep up with your meditation, right? And you just get through it, right? But other than that, that's like strategy, right? And then so that's pretty much it, guys. I've covered it all. Like, from here on out, like I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and get a trailer because it's like genuinely one of my stores I'm going to grow. So I'll probably change the shop name or whatever as it progresses, just for like just to like protect like my analytics and stuff like that. I'll see how it goes. But now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a trailer here or whatever. Create my social media profiles, and then create the inventory. Then I'm going to let the inventory sit for a month, and then I'm going to do some like upkeep, right? And do some like listing optimization. But the optimization part isn't like the main key factor. Everything that I've mentioned here will set you up to get sales on Etsy. Right, guys? I just suggest knowing your community, right? And I don't mean like, oh my gosh, you have to research for a month. Like, honestly, guys, like, it's so simple. I decided very quickly, but it's just like, because we naturally browse social media. So you look at the feed and you're like, okay, I vibe with this, right? So you just follow their vibe with their vibe. That's pretty much it. And if you can do that, then you're off to a very, very good start, because people are attracted to real people, real communities, real vibes, and these aesthetics, these trends have thousands and thousands of people in traffic. So, and it's much better, right, than being like, like pink bohemian flower sweater, right? We have coquette, princess core, we have like Dior girl, dream core, dog core. Those are all keywords that, like, there's like people searching for them, and you have parents like searching for them too, right? To buy their children stuff in aesthetics. So very, very key. Yeah, and that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for everyone who attended the group and who showed interest in the group. This is definitely up for 7 days, so you guys can do the homework and set it up with me. I love you guys post questions. If you guys can leave any feedback, that's like extra going to be like so appreciated, because after 7 days, these modules will be added to my program, right? So this is like the intensive that will be uploaded, right? A bit of the intensive. So go ahead here. Obviously, the program goes like into like has like separate modules, right, in more in-depth detail. But I believe that this masterclass and these notes, you'll do just great, right? I've given it away, right? So so there you go, guys. So please leave any like testimonials if you guys have any, or like just any comments or feedback or criticisms. That'd be super appreciated. Otherwise, please post to the group any questions. I'm happy to help you find like your aesthetic, right? Or like is anything you want me to tweak in your Etsy store, feel free to ask, and I'll let you know like what I think or what I would do, right? So feel free to post in the group for 7 days, because for the 7 days you guys will get some like coaching as well, right? Because I really want to see. It's really good to see this all kind of trialed, right, before it's sold in the program. So thank you guys so much. Much love, and thank you.